So, Blood, I have a soft spot for old games that get totally remade. I loved what they did to Monkey Island. I love the Halo Master Chief Collection. You can just hit a button and you go back and forth between the old school Halo 2 and the new Halo 2. In 3D, like I'm gonna be so addicted to that. Just constantly looking at objects and anything that blows up or any character or something. I'm just gonna keep mashing that button. So this is very enticing, especially for a game that maybe not a lot of people heard about.
Right.
Was Shadowgate a huge game back in the day? Like, I was not a big PC gamer growing up, so.
Well, the funny thing about it, though, is even though it's a point and click, like, most people's memories are with the NES version. Like, that's the kind of the callback.
Yeah. Which was rare for the NES. There was not a lot of games like that.
Yeah, I mean, they also did Deja Vu, which was by the same group of guys, and then Maniac Mansion was on the NES. There's a few others. But yeah, so it's a little bit different from some of the other ones that you mentioned because I feel like they've changed the game a lot more, and so you can't just do that switch. They do have switches to where it can go back to the old like quill style, like writing out the text, or like the transitions the NES used to have from going from room to room, or the music. But graphically, they've just changed the puzzles up so much that like you can't just it's not like reskinning the same game.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, this is definitely like one of those games that like puts me in that dilemma of I can't figure out how much I want to like it and how much I actually like it, because it falls into some of those point and click traps where like the puzzles are so obscure, and I'm just like, eventually I just get to the end of my rope, look something out, and I'm like, how was I supposed to figure that out?
And this is new puzzles, so they should know better because they're building upon this foundation.
They have things like they have one of the classic rooms that Ryan Stevens always calls back to is the one where they have Epor written on the wall, like it's rope backwards.
Oh, okay.
And in the original game, there's like a rope on the floor, and when you said the spell or whatever, then the rope went up to the ceiling. But the room is completely different. It's flooded with water. There's no rope in the room, but the thing is still on the wall. So it's just kind of like, it's like interact, speak, spell. No, nothing. That thing's just on the wall to be a callback.
And talk about the interface for a second, just how you're dealing with all this stuff. So even though they are updating, this adventure game, it still plays very much like a classic adventure game.
Yeah, it's somewhat streamlined, so that you can use like the keyboard, so you can hit S for speak or hit G for go, and then you can they have a lot of ways that you can like kind of hotkey things. So like if you want to they have this kind of funny syntax where it's like use thyself on lever. That's how you like pull a lever. So you can set thyself as one of your hotkeys. And then there's a million ways to die. So like you can use use dagger on thyself, and then you can like kill yourself and see the death animation that way.
Is there death animation? Because you don't see yourself. It's
not really
death,
but like the Grim Reaper pops up.
Oh, okay, cool.
So there's a lot of weird, unexpected ways to die. But yeah, but some of the stuff is just like so far out there. But what I do like about it though is that on like various difficulty settings, they change the puzzles up. So they had told me, which I think was somewhat misleading, they had told me that the master difficulty setting was the way that the original was, and everything from there was dumbed down. But I tried doing master difficulty for like 2 or 3 days, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to go back to normal. This is not working out for me. And then it was making more sense. It was like, okay, now I see, like, if I had done the puzzle on normal, and then I could figure out like what else they had added to it for.
What was getting in your way on the master difficulty? What's an example of just like?
Well, for one, like there's this place where there's a wraith blocking a door, and on the normal, you would just take your torch and light the wraith on fire. If you do that on master, you just die. It'll just kill you. So what you have to do is you have to go a couple of rooms back, and they're like these green candles, and you use the torch on the green candle, and it'll turn your torch green, and then you can kill the wraith.
Crazy. So how are you finding this stuff out? Are there people just in forums?
I mean, some of it is trial and error, and some of it, like I said, there's been like 1 or 2 times where I've had to go to the internet to figure out what the deal is, because there's one thing where you get cursed early on in the game, and so periodically you will your vision will go blurry, whatever, and he'll talk, and you can tell that like it's progressively getting worse. Eventually, it will kill you. And it's turn-based. So like unlike a lot of adventure games where you can just click around and everything, every action you do, you're taking a turn, and that's kind of how they deal with enemies. It's like, you know, you pick up the shield, and then the dragon burns the shield, and then it's like, okay, you can pick up something else, or you can walk out of the room before the dragon burns you again, before your shield melts all the way. You know, like I think after 4 or 5 turns, your shield melts. And then it also goes along with your torches. Like your torches like only have so much life, and then before you have to find another torch and light it to replace the old one. But anyway, so with this whole curse mechanic, yeah, eventually after so many turns, you're just dead. And so like, okay, I haven't found the antidote. What is the deal? Where's the antidote? It turns out if you're on easy, the antidote's just in a jar somewhere and you just drink it. But on normal, the recipe is in a desk. And since it's still image, the desk that it's in, you can't tell that it has drawers.
Right.
So you have to open a desk that you didn't even have a clue that like, oh, I could open this desk. It just looked like a table or something. And then you have to go and find all the ingredients, which are just like random mushrooms and flowers. So you basically have to pick up everything along the way. So those weird little obscurities like that. And another thing that was different between the master and the normal. In normal, after you use a key, you just throw it away because you don't need it anymore. But on Master, like that stays in your inventory. So then you have to remember what keys you've already used.
Oh man. Yeah, so do you think there's a lot of like genre shock for someone who like didn't really play adventure games and then got, you know, Walking Dead for their console and they have a PC and so they're like, oh cool, another adventure game. I never knew I liked this genre. It's just like, no, this is a whole separate thing. Do you think like, would you warn people before they went into this experience? Like who did they make this game for? Who do you think is like the audience?
I think they deliberately made it, you know, to be a little, you know, hard and unforgiving in ways, especially with the deaths. You know, there's a lot of times where they'll just let you do things that kill yourself. Like if you're on top of a tower and you go too sky, you'll just walk off the edge of the tower. But yeah, it's tough figuring out like where that balance is, because you know sometimes it's not a matter of it being completely outside of your mind. It's just you like being in the same wavelength as the designer at that point.
So you're playing the game now. Are we going to get a review? Are you going to score this game?
I want to get a review out there. I'm still a little torn on where it is. I've got a little bit more to go on it. But like I said, I do like that they mix it up with the difficulty settings and that the puzzles change so that, yeah, when you go up to a higher difficulty setting, there is something more there than, you know, oh, your torches just burn out faster. So.
And it's out now. It's a full price?
I don't know what the price is offhand.
But it's on Steam?
Yeah, it's on Steam.
So if people are like, yes, I like challenges and puzzles that don't completely 100% make sense. What do you think of the art? I mean, it's a big upgrade that they're doing, obviously. Like, wow, look how good the game looks now as opposed to how it looked before. Does it look good now? Does it hold up?
Yeah, I mean, I like it. It's not like super high quality art, but it's cool. The animations especially, it's like one of those things where they're just kind of morphing whatever is there. But it looks decent enough. The music is actually really good. I think that's like in terms of like the presentation upgrades, I think that's been the biggest benefit out of everything.
It definitely helps with the atmosphere because everything's 2D, you know, so to kind of like bring you into the world and make you feel like you're actually like trapped in this castle or caverns or whatnot.
And they added a like more of a story to it and that kind of thing. It's not really that interesting of a story, but it's, you know, it's something to bring you into context.
And how much time would one expect to spend with this game?
I know that like the clock probably says I've only played like 3 or 4 hours, but I've played easily double that because of just all the trial and error and dying and reloading. Because the game with the turns, it's like, oh, let me reload, and so I don't waste all of those turns.
Oh, right, yeah.
But yeah, it's probably a solid 10 or 12 hours.
Which could be a sell if somebody's into it.
Yeah.
And you will be back to talk about it some more, whether it's a review or another one of these guys.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, bud.